Okay, so today I'm gonna be painting some of the pieces for the inner frame for the DMK03, also known as the Night Optimus Prime. And so the parts I'm gonna paint, I'm gonna show you right now. So I'm gonna paint this little, I guess you could say, collar section silver. These little pieces right here that are just kind of sticking out. And I'm gonna paint these silver. I'm gonna repaint every silver gray piece with another silver. I'm gonna use this metallic silver. Hopefully it gives it a little shine. And I'm gonna paint these pieces right here inside sort of the armpit area. I can see if I can get you right here. It's right here, and also these back ones right here. You should see them. You know, they're you can see them when you just kind of move the piece around like this back and forth. I'm gonna paint those parts gold, or at least a yellowish type color, just to add variation. I believe it is that color in the actual model, or in the actual design. So remember, I'm gonna be painting these, and I'm gonna paint this part with another silver. The arms I might leave alone because I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to see them. However, I'm gonna be dry brushing, and in fact, I'm gonna dry brush all the pieces just to give it some variation. So the arms I'll leave alone, but I'll still dry brush. These I'll paint these little piston pieces with another yellow or gold type color, and in between it I'll paint these little parts right here that travels all the way around a silver, and this little piston right here another gold, and I think maybe these pistons right here maybe another gold or something. Again, just to add variation. Again, I'm gonna dry brush everything, and it's just to help the pieces pop out. This I won't do too much to it. However, I will paint these back parts with a silver because they are silver in the CGI model. I remember seeing that. And this piston, I'll probably just put like a gold and a silver, again, just to add variation. And again, I'm dry brushing everything. And the final piece, I will be painting this like a yellow or a gold, because I believe that's how it is in the actual model. And then I will paint the rest of it with another silver, with a metallic silver. So what I'm going to be using is the steel gray, and I'm actually going to use steel gray and the silver sterling, the metallic silver. These are both folk art. And I'm gonna combine these two. I'm gonna use a little more of the metallic, but I'm gonna combine these two to make a different gray, a different silver, because I'm gonna use this silver to be dry brushing everything again to make everything pop out. I'm gonna use the school bus yellow, if you can see it right here. This is also from folk art. It's acrylic, and I'm gonna use it to paint the yellow parts. And I would like to put some King's Gold and mix it with the school bus yellow to give it that gold color. And I'm using this little tray. I got it from Michael's, if you want to know. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a little bit of water to sort of water down the paint so it's not so thick. It'll make it a little more watery so that it can go over the pieces better. I'm gonna just fill it up like this. And what I'm then gonna do is I'm gonna get my colors. Shake it. I'm gonna shake them a little just because it says you have to, and I'm gonna spray a little bit down right here. So that's like 2 drops. Yeah, let's put 3 just to be sure. Okay, so here's my audio commentary for the video. I'm gonna do a couple of these throughout the video. I just wanted to explain sort of what I'm doing, just go more in depth, just in here. And keep in mind, I filmed these videos weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. So there may be some things that I forget, or I'm not sure why I did, but I think I still remember most of why I did everything. And with these pieces right now, I'm just painting the silver on. It wasn't too complicated. It really, you just gotta do like several coats You know, because it's not all the paint's gonna stay on, not all the paint's gonna go onto the piece. And so to give it that sort of complete look, you know, you got to give it, you know, a couple coats of paint. And so, but it wasn't really too hard. And I think for me, it only took like 2, maybe 3 coats for each piece to paint on all the silver. Now, one thing I want to mention is that I used the silver and I believe the steel gray. I only did that for this part. I don't know why, but I think I completely forgot to do it, or I did it with 2 different paints in the other video. But I mean, really, it's just up to you how you want to paint this thing. I was originally making this video to be sort of a tutorial like video in the same vein of how other YouTubers like Cosplay Chris or Ted Brothers or any of those other you know, content creators do. But I felt that, you know, just my vocabulary, the words I used, the way I explained it, even down to like just where I had my camera and everything. I'm using my phone as my camera, but I just felt that it was all just sort of a little amateurish, and I mean it is. I am an amateur, but I just felt that it wasn't professional enough for me to make it a tutorial like video, especially with, you know, I was saying things like, you know, here's the armpit when in reality it's the butterfly joint. I just couldn't remember some of the words, but I just decided that's why in the first video I said it's not going to be much of a tutorial, more of just my process and what I've been doing, and I believe that's what it is. And so that's what I tried editing it down to be. But when I was filming it, I had the intention of making it a tutorial, so that's why it still is one. And I mean it still came out how I wanted to. I mean, it's, you know, I'm still fairly happy with how it came out. But yeah, I just wanted to put this audio commentary just to explain what's going on. Again, it's not much. It's just painting a couple coats of silver. You know, same with the yellow, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So yeah, just like a couple coats of silver paint. That's all you really need. If the paint's being real stubborn, then yeah, you can put a couple more. But I mean, that's all it is to it. And you know, I used either reference photos or my knowledge, or I just went off by you know, again, just, you know, put variation. Like I didn't really know there was a piston in that joint that I'm painting, in that piece that I'm painting. But so I just went ahead and just put a little bit of color on it again, just to make it look, you know, look different. Although in the final, at the end, you actually don't even see the piston anyway. So I guess it really didn't need to be painted, but I did it anyways. And same with the other joints, same with the other pieces. You know, it's just up to you how you want to paint it. You don't even have to paint the inner frame. I just did it because, especially with that, I guess the middle piece of, like, where the torso is. You know, I felt that piece needed to be painted because, you know, I mean, the silver for this wasn't bad. It's actually pretty shiny. I just wanted to put my own silver because I think it looked better. And also in that torso piece, there's a little piece that needs to be painted, like it should be bronze, but I used yellow instead. And so I just wanted to paint that on so that it could be more accurate to the movie, because that my whole goal for this model was to make it as accurate to the movie as possible. And so that's what I was trying to do for all of this. Okay, and here I am painting the yellow and gold on. I'm painting it on the butterfly joint, not the armpit. Okay, and yeah, with this it was a little more difficult painting the yellow on. I mean, just for one thing, I mean, painting in that little part right there in the tight little space was a little difficult. But just in general, I mean, for me, at least for the paints that I work with, yellow seems to be the hardest color to paint on because it's so bright that you just paint it on anything that's dark, especially something that's like really dark, and it's you got to put several coats to really make the yellow stand out, or not even stand out, but just to get the yellow on. But nevertheless, so I painted yellow on, and it's actually supposed to be bronze. I'm kind of bad with like the recognizing what's bronze and what's not. But yeah, it's supposed to be bronze. Also, in my defense, I didn't have bronze with me at the moment, so I mean, but nevertheless, these pieces I think are supposed to be bronze, not yellow or gold or anything like that. But yeah, I still painted them. I still used the paints I had, and it came out to how I wanted it to look. But yeah, basically what I was saying is that with these pieces, it took many more coats to paint on than it did with the silver, and so for me that was a little more difficult. And so I had to just paint a piece, let it dry, and it dried fairly quickly, so it wasn't too bad. It's not like I had to wait several hours or anything. But I painted it, put it down, let it dry, painted another piece, put that down, let it dry, and then go on and so forth and so forth. And yeah, so it took a little while to paint it, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, it's still, I got the paint to how I wanted to look. And I mean, again, I mean, just like the silver, there's not much to it. It's just kind of painting it on there. I mean, you want to water down the paint, just loosen the consistency. It just make it a little more, like I said, just a little like just looser. And that's what makes it easier to paint on the colors. But even with that, I mean, it's still pretty hard to paint on the yellow. And yeah, and also, yeah, I mean, you want to, like, just wipe away a little bit of the consistency, not the consistency, the excess off the brush. Not too much. I mean, it's not like dry brushing, but it's still it's. I mean, you just want to wipe away the excess because you don't want too much paint on there. Otherwise, it just looks like a big blob. But yeah, and other than that, there's, again, like I said, there's not much to it. I mean, if you've painted something before, it's the same concept. Just paint and just. I go in one direction. I go up and down. Then after it's done drying, I go left to right, and that's basically what I do. And it's just again, I do several coats of that. And with this, I had to do several coats of it. But yeah, I mean, other than that, other than doing several coats, the yellow wasn't too difficult. And after this, I did dry brushing, and that one's also an easy concept to understand as well. But I'll get to that when I get there, which should be in like a couple minutes. But anyways, like I said, it wasn't too hard of a process, and nothing really difficult happened here. Just like I said, I had to paint several coats. Like you can see right there, that was the first coat, and the yellow was like almost non-visible. Like you can see it, but it just looked very faded. So I had to paint several more coats on there just to make it look bright. And so here we actually do the dry brushing. And with the dry brushing, again, it's a simple concept. You take your brush, whatever brush you use for dry brushing, and you put you put silver, you dip it in silver paint. I like to use silver paint, but you can use whatever color you want with it, whatever looks natural. But yeah, I use silver, and what you do is you wipe away a lot of the excess. You wipe away almost all the excess so that there's only just the little bit of paint on the bristles, and you just very lightly, just paint the silver on, and you just, yeah, like what I'm doing. You just do it really quick, and just do it all over. And what the idea is that you want that little bit of paint to go onto the raised pieces, not inside the pieces, but just the raised parts. And what it does is it makes those raised parts stand out a lot, and it brings out the detail onto the piece. So like before, it's just like a generic gray, almost even black color, and by painting the silver on, you give it that you give it that dry brush look, and it makes the pieces stand out, and so you can actually see a lot more of the detail. And again, it's all going to be covered up, so I mean, you don't really have to do this, but if you really want to put in that extra work to really like impress people and stuff, and to impress yourself, I mean, you can do that. And it's not a hard process to do anyways. I mean, it's fairly simple to dry brush. It should only take like a couple minutes to do this entire thing. But yeah, that was dry brushing. And after this, I put on the wash, which is actually just shoe polish. But yeah, so I'm gonna do that right after this. Okay, so now I let the dry brushing dry a little bit, and what I'm gonna do is I'm doing this carefully because I'm gonna use some black shoe polish, and I'm gonna just use it on specific spots. I'm gonna use it right here where there's paint. I'm gonna use it so like right here. I'm gonna use it on this little piece. I'm gonna put it right here, of course on the back too. I'm gonna put it on the collar, and I'm gonna put it all over this piece, and then on the pelvis where like the yellow pistons are. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it, and again I'm doing it very lightly. If you let this dry, if you take too long to clean it up, it will stain. So I'm being very careful. Just putting a little bit. I'm just gonna put a little bit for now. I'm gonna put this someplace where hopefully it won't tip over. Put it way over there. What I'm gonna do is, now it should already be very, very, very liquidy, but just in case, I'm gonna grab a little more water. This is just how I like to do it. You don't have to do this. In fact, you don't really need to do this. I just do it just in case, and so put a little bit more water just to make it a little more wet, because it's meant to like I use the shoe polish as sort of a makeshift wash. You know, you can go out there and buy your own washes, but I think this is a little more cost effective. I saw another YouTuber named Cosplay Chris, and if you want to see how it's done effectively, you can watch that, because he does that. I pretty much learned it from him, and I'm sure he figured it out himself. Okay. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this brush. It's essentially the same, but I've been using that one so much I don't want to mess it up. So what I'm going to do is just going to use it, and sort of like the dry brushing, I'm going to wipe some of the excess away. I don't think I need the gray again, so I think I'm fine. And let's see, what do I want to use? I'm gonna start with this one. This should be easy to do. You see I wiped off too much. Again, you don't have to put the water. In fact, I think maybe putting too much water might have ruined it, but alright. So you put it on there, and it's supposed to darken it out. And then what you're supposed to do, which I forgot to do, you can use either a towel, Q-tip, a sponge maybe, and you're supposed to, you know, get wetted, use rubbing alcohol, whichever. Not too much, because then it'll wipe off too much. You'll wipe off the underpaint, but you're supposed to wipe this down, and it'll act like a wash. And I'll be right back because I forgot to do that. Okay, so here's the shoe polish. Here's where this comes into play. And the shoe polish is meant to act as a wash. Again, I got this idea from the YouTuber Cosplay Chris. I remember he used it for his Master Chief, his Batman, I believe the Jack Pacific Batman. And yeah, basically just like, and I think on the Hulkbuster too. So if you want to see how it's done very well, you can check those out. But I was just using his technique, and it's a very effective one. I didn't mean to put water on it. I did it because I've had trouble with the shoe polish before, because you know, if you put too much of it, I mean, it just on the brush and you don't wipe away the excess, it stains real bad onto the piece, and so it makes it really hard to scrub it off. I've had that problem with, you know, a long time ago. But so this time I tried watering down the consistency to see if I could if that would work, and it sort of did. But really, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to just get the shoe polish on the bristles, wipe away the excess, and then put it on the piece. You know, don't wipe away all the excess. You don't want to wipe away the entire thing, otherwise it doesn't pop up. But yeah, so I learned my lesson with this video, and on the other pieces, you know, I figured it out. And yeah, you just want to, again, wipe away the excess, paint it on the piece, and then scrub it away with the warm, wet sponge. You know, just scrub it away. And what I did is, because like the silver paint I had, you know, it flaked away when I scrubbed it off. So what I did is I repainted the silver on, just like a very quick, you know, light coat of silver. It's almost like I dry brushed it in a way, but it's just a light coat of silver I painted back on. And again, it still gave it that like silver shiny look, but it gave it like the dirty, almost oil looking look, which is, I think, is a perfect look for especially this character, because I mean, all these pieces somehow go into a truck, and so I think, you know, I mean, when it goes into a truck, there's gonna be oil and all that in there, so it makes sense that it'd be dirty looking like that. So yeah, and afterwards I let it dry, and so afterwards what I did is I got a top coat. It's Rust-Oleum. I believe it's just a matte clear top coat, and I sprayed it on to the pieces and just let them dry. And so the end result was, you know, just basically everything that you saw right here, just, you know, everything that's painted on. And I have a picture of it that I put at the end. But yeah, so this really turned out very well. I mean, this is my first time not only filming this, but, you know, first time just sort of like doing a full-on just repaint of this model kit. And so this is the very beginning of it. And for the beginning, I think it turned out fairly well. And after this video, it's gonna be me painting on the silver pieces, and then after that, it's gonna be the flames. You know, just painting on the flames. And that's either gonna be the end video, or I'm gonna do one more as sort of an epilogue, and then that's it. But yeah, and so I mean, this is a long process. Remember, this is pretty much the beginning. But yeah, and just it took like 2 weeks, which to me was a pretty long while. You know, I haven't done a project like usually it takes me like a few days to like paint something, and there goes the pieces falling over. But yeah, no, it wasn't. This one was definitely the longest one I felt I'd done when it came to painting a full-on repaint. And but I still had a fun time with it. It's just very tedious painting everything, especially when you gotta paint everything the same color over and over and do the same process. That was the only hard part, was just how tedious it was. But like I said, it was a fun process. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I do like making models. I've made a bunch of models before, and yeah, just I'm really proud of how this one came out. And you know, I mean, you saw it in the first video, but I'm gonna show you a very in-depth, close look at it in another video. And yeah, I'm just like I said, I'm really proud of it. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take the runners, which is these. You know, this is what holds the pieces, and I'm gonna pre-cut them using these pliers or whatever you may call them, and an X-Acto knife. So with the pliers, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out a piece. And I try to do it as far away from the, I try to cut these little parts as far away from the piece as possible. Oops. I was going to say so that they don't break, but that was not a great move right there. But yeah, so we have our piece. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to cut a little closer. And I'm just going to toss that out there. Do that. And you can see several videos on how to do this. There's several ways on how to cut out your model pieces from runners. You can look them up. I just want to show real quickly, but I'm gonna do the rest off screen because I don't want them to be super long. So some people say don't cut too close, and me, I just try to be careful. I messed up a little right there, but it's not too bad. It didn't mess up. So I try to do that. Let me color more, just there. So I'm not a professional model maker right here. Pretty sure there's plenty of people, you know, screaming their heads off at me doing this, but this is how I do it, and I'd say it works pretty well. And so I'm just leave that right there. And so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the X-Acto knife. Let me just get this out the way. I'm gonna use the X-Acto knife to basically shave the little pieces off. And this part you gotta be extra careful because I mean, X-Acto knives are sharp, and I've definitely gotten my fair share of cuts before. Just try to be as careful as you can. There we go. And just shave it down so that there's no nub. Now, professionals can probably do this much better than I can, but just doing what I normally do. That was my canned dog. And what I like to do then is kind of leave it like that. And if I feel like it needs a little bit of shaving, what you can do is you can get a piece of, if you have it, some sandpaper and sand it down. Sometimes because I like to be weird, I'll just use my fingernail and I'll just grind it down. But usually you should use sandpaper, and for one thing, I'm pretty sure this damages fingernails, so. But yeah, I mean, so this is what you basically do. Just keep shaving it down using the X-Acto knife. You want to like cut it out, cut the little pieces off, and then shave it down. And this wasn't a great example, but like I said, there's plenty of videos on the internet on how to cut out the pieces of the model pieces out of runners. And here we go. So I'm gonna be doing this, and like I said, it's a little kind of screwed up a little here, but it's my first time doing it like this with a camera in front of me, so I was kind of eyeballing it. So this is how it kind of comes out, and I'm gonna be doing this with the rest of the pieces. So when I'm done, I'll be right back. And when I get back, I'm gonna start painting these pieces. So see you later.